So there are a few different ways that you can meet the English language requirement. The first is to be a national of a majority English-speaking country. So these are countries like the US, Australia, Canada. There are a few different Caribbean nations as well, where English is the main spoken language, is the national language, and so you don't need to provide anything other than a passport in that circumstance. You can have passed an English language test, provider in speaking and listening at a minimum of A1 level. I'll talk more on that later, but the A1 level is the lowest level for the test. It's to show that you have a basic to advanced level of English, but you don't need to be fully fluent in the language. You just have to have a good understanding of English, and the test would evidence that. You can have an academic qualification that was taught in English, so that would be a bachelor's degree or higher. So if it was taught in the UK, then you would just need to supply the degree certificate. If it was taught in a different country entirely in English, then you would submit the degree certificate along with a UK ECTIS, ECCTIS certificate, and I'll talk about that again in a little bit. And that would prove the level of English as well as the academic level as well. There are exemptions that apply for people over 65, or if you've got a disability that would mean that for whatever reason you're unable to take an English language test or something like that. So the academic test qualification, so if you've got a degree at bachelor level or higher, just still back to the previous one, Gemma, thank you. So if you've got a degree that was taught in English outside of the UK, then you can apply for what's called a UK ECTIS certificate. It's had previous names in the past, so you might see it listed as UK NARIC, NARIC, or UK ENIC, ENIC, but they all mean the same thing. It's just gone through a couple of name changes. So if you've got a degree that was taught, let's say in Egypt or in India, it was entirely taught in English, then you can apply for this certificate to show that it meets the required academic level. And so you would use that link here for the Visa and Nationality Service. You will need to sign up on their website, and once you've registered with them, you'll be able to send them your documents. Normally, in able to provide the verification, they would need a copy of your degree certificate or diploma, your full academic transcript or mark sheet, as well as a medium of instruction letter from your course provider that would confirm that the full course was indeed taught in English. One, please. And just a bit on the English language test, because there are quite a few different providers that offer the English language test, so this can be a little confusing. But any of these providers listed here, you can use to take the English language test. And like I've said before, as long as it is A1 level, then it will be approved for a spousal visa application. It's important to note that the test results are valid for 2 years. So if you've taken a test for whatever reason in the past, then that can be used later on. And once you've passed the test the first time, so if you're taking the test for your initial application from overseas, you won't need to keep taking tests when you extend or apply for indefinite leave to remain later on. You can rely on the initial test that you've taken.
Somebody was asking if you have a job with an English-speaking organisation, is that enough for the language requirement? I mean, any sensible person would think that it was, but unfortunately the UK authorities are very, very strict about how you meet the English language requirement. And years of experience, having worked with English-speaking organisations in the past and planning to do so again in the future, I'm afraid they will not accept that. It's not one of the methods as what was set out by my colleague that would meet their requirements. So previous experience with an English-speaking company, etc. I'm afraid that would not suffice for the English language requirement. You must either be the national of an majority English-speaking country, have taken the test, or have a degree or similar qualification. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to my colleague talking to the salary, the income requirement. Thank you.